Pros, save more on the materials you need to get the job done inside and out at Lowe's. Right now, get 10% off in-stock Trex Naturals decking, now available in more styles. Plus, get 15% off select custom entry, interior, and storm doors. Then, we'll deliver it all straight to your job site to help keep your jobs moving. Get the brands pros trust, priced right, and ready when you need them. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 5/27. While supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Looking for these better days.
It is Wednesday, May 27th. I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's what you need to know to make today a better day. The Thunder bounce back to take Game 5 of the NBA Western Conference Finals, and the Golden Knights back to the Stanley Cup Final. Mackenzie Rivers joins me on this episode of Better Day, presented by FanDuel. Mackenzie, our first quarter system cashed with the Thunder beating the Spurs 29-27 in the first quarter. They go on to win 127-114, taking a 3-2 series lead. What did you notice about the Thunder that was clearly different from what we saw in game number 4? I mean, I feel like you just have to throw out game number 4 because it was so un-Thunder-like and they just completely punted that game away. But maybe look at this game versus what you've seen from other Thunder performances in this series. What jumped off to you?
First off, they started Jared McCain, which they needed to do. Jalen Williams still scratched, no A.J. Mitchell, so you need more ball handling. And he started off slow just like SGA did, but ended up with 20 points, was probably maybe their third best player. Chet had a bounce-back game, but that's what we expect from the others, as Shaq likes to call them, at home, to play better. And they couldn't have played worse than Game 4, but they played much better. And it took a while for SGA to get going. He had very uncharacteristic 4 turnovers and an increasingly characteristic 1-for-5 start to the game. But they were up in the first quarter because of the crowd and Chet Holmgren getting off well and just the others stepping up.
Yeah, I thought that obviously being at home, as you mentioned, the ancillary pieces are going to step up. Alex Caruso had a bounce-back performance. He scored 22 points, and I had major FOMO for not, I don't know why I jumped ship on the Caruso three-pointer prop. You knew he was going to cash yesterday, even alternate numbers. He was 4 of 8 from downtown, scoring, as I mentioned, 22 points. But also I had FOMO on betting SGA because I thought to myself, if there was ever a game in which I don't want to say pressure, but really everything was on the line for SGA in that game last night. And when I say everything, I mean there was so much conversation about him, despite the fact that he's won, 2 MVP awards back-to-back, despite the fact that he's the NBA champion and finals MVP from a season ago. There's a lot of criticism on him and a lot of criticism on him in this series. And if he underperformed again and the Thunder went down 3-2 with, elimination on the horizon, I think there'd be a lot of people that would continue the negative stories or whatever surrounding Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And so I felt if there was ever a game where he would get back to MVP form and score 30-plus points, it was going to be last night, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and he stuck with it. He was 1 for 6 to start the game, had a bad start to the second quarter too with another turnover and another missed shot. But I think, and I've always said this, that's what separates the great players. Steph Curry goes 0 for 6 to start a game way more often than a lot of great shooting guards and power forwards, because when you're a point guard and you're the head of the snake, you have to press the issue, and that's what he did. He ended up going 5 for 6 in a stretch in the middle, ended a game cold, but he put together 32 points and 9 assists. And I'm glad you brought up exactly the conversation, because my big problem as a LeBron skeptic, and I know it's going to be something I don't get to talk about once he retires in a couple of years, so I'll relish it now, was that he could win or lose, and it would be like, what does it mean that the best player in the world didn't play well? Or what does it mean that the best player in the world lost in 4? And I'm like, if we're just going to have the premise that he's the best no matter what, like, why are we watching the games? It could not be more opposite for SGA. If SGA lost this series in 6 or loses in 7, people aren't going to be like, oh, he's probably the second best player in the world. He didn't have a great game. He's going to be like the 6th best player in the world. People are going to be like Jaylen Brown or SGA. I don't know. SGA gets a lot of foul calls. The conversation about this man has reached absurd proportions. I mean, there's the international feed for the Amazon, which is probably different from what you guys are hearing, where they talk in between the breaks instead of commercials. And it's never positive. Halftime, he had 19 points and 5 assists, and they're like, Another down game for SGA. Really can't trust him. Look, glad his teammates are stepping up. It's absurd. No one's ever scored 19 points and a half and played a bad half. They might not have played a great half. Turnovers are a thing, but the swing from if they win this series and he wins Finals MVP and they beat the Knicks, or if they don't, is massive, which has made me an SGA fan because I'm a fan of truth. And Wemby goes 4 for 15, 20 points, 6 rebounds. If SGA does that, he's terrible. He's not even a top 10 player in the league anymore. I looked this up. Players to score 25 points per game and 9.5 assists per game in the conference finals. 4 players have done it. Russell Westbrook, LeBron, Nikola Jokic, and SGA in this series. LeBron and Jokic actually did it in the same series in 2023. It was which was a 4-game sweep. So I mean, it's only 4 games. It's a little bit less data. So the only other player to do it in a longer series than that was Russell Westbrook, which is pretty simple stats: 25 points, round up to 10 assists, and he had 39% shooting in that series. It's not uncommon if you're asked to do that much at this stage of the playoffs. Either you don't do it, that's why only 4 guys are on this list, or you have a little bit of inefficiency. You shoot under 40%. The fact that Westbrook didn't win that series, by the way, in 2016, lost to the Warriors, he's going to be in a company of one if he ends up finishing this series, and people are going to be like, what does it mean that he hasn't played well in the playoffs? And it's everybody. Like I said, it's the international audience who says everything. It's the fall study, which I want to talk to you about because I know you put a lot of stock in that. It's Brian Windhorst saying, after this guy is leading the playoffs in points per game, nobody's scoring more points per game than him. Brian Windhorst says, after I think game 2, wow, that's the first game he's played in well in the playoffs. If he's leading the league in points per game and he's like 3rd in assists, and we're saying, wow, he finally had 1 good game out of 12, the expectations and how we're interpreting the data has completely lost the plot. It's and I get why. Blame Canada. South Park was right. No one likes Canada. He's an easy target. He wasn't a high draft pick. We are much more likely to confirm our priors. Wemby's great because we thought he was going to be great. So if he's less than great, all right, sometimes you have an off game. But we'd never thought of this guy as great. So when he became great, no one wants to hear it. Everyone wants to find a way to debunk him. Yeah, he falls a lot. I'm not sure if it was the most scientific study, but he probably falls more than anybody in the league. That's the way he plays. He's 6'6", 190. Jordan, who was also skinny, was 6'6", 220. LeBron is 6'8", 250. He's a different kind of player. He has the best handles in the league, maybe. He crosses people over all the time and gets them behind the play, which causes them to push him, causes him to knock him down. He plays low to the ground, and he doesn't stop himself from falling. I don't think that's some sort of basketball sin. I don't think he does anything wrong. Yes, the refs, I think across the league, should not call fouls that are marginal. I want less fouls called so that you have to really prove it. That's a thing across the league, and maybe he benefits more than most, but he's a great player, playing pretty well, if not his best, even when he starts the game so poorly. That literally gets none of the credit. Go to Twitter. It's not 9 out of 10. I was speaking to a friend. I'm like, wow, 9 out of 10 people really hate this guy. 10 out of 10 tweets. Every single person. I am on an island here defending this man, not because he's my favorite player in the league, although he's becoming that, just because I'm so disgusted with the way everyone else is reading the game right now.
I'm glad. I was reading an article last night. Tom Haberstroh from longtime NBA writer. He's on Yahoo now and
does good work.
He does great work. Great work, and he's done it for years, right? So he wrote that article over the weekend that everyone kept on referencing, which was how many times that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander falls down, right? And it's like incredible. He's fallen down more in this series, and this is before last night's game. Obviously, I think it was 22 times, 5.5 per game in the Western Conference Finals, up significantly from the previous rounds, right? How many times he falls to the ground, right? But then it's like, well, in the last 2 games, he was saying of the 7 falls that he had, he drew whistles on 4 of them, right? So it's like, it's not every time that he falls, he gets the foul call and things like that. But then
I think in this game, he might have fallen down 5 times and gotten, most of the time, that's when he turned it over and didn't get a call, which was the right call.
But there's an interesting piece to the article that I was reading last night, his article, which was, conveniently, it's all the way at the end of the article, right? So if you're just reading the headline and like whatever, you don't like whatever, you just come away with all the negative stuff. But if you scroll all the way down to the end of the article, you'll see a segment where he says, is SGA's fall rate so high because he drives so much. Quote, according to NBA player tracking data, Gilgeous-Alexander averages 19.4 drives per game, the highest for any player who has made it out of the first round of the playoffs. It would make sense that someone who penetrates into the paint so often and perpetually plows into a wall of trees would hit the deck a lot, end quote. Yes, it makes sense. He's driving all the time. He's going to draw contact. It's not like, you know who else like used to fall down while getting hit a lot while taking long threes and stuff? Steph
Joel
Curry,
Embiid.
another small
Okay,
guy,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So and this is the thing too. It's like
for sure.
I don't know. It's just there's just a lot that goes into the anti SGA thing, but I get it, man. There's people will look at the cut up clips of him falling when there's no contact, and they'll be
Yeah.
like, "What is this guy doing?"
But here's
And
yeah.
my response is that he's just off balance. He's an off balance shooter.
Yeah, he plays very herky-jerky and off balance, and a lot of the times he's
Yeah.
not looking for fouls. Sometimes he is, but sometimes he just falls because he's in the position to not land right. But you're exactly right. When he flops, yeah, people call it out on Twitter and all that's fine. There's a tweet by Hater Report where he gets pushed in the back, two hands by I think Champagny, and he falls down and he said, "Wow, two hands on the back," and he dives to the floor, which is just like a crazy look, like misrepresentation of reality.
Yeah,
And by the
yeah,
way,
yeah.
for the people like Bill Simmons who thought game two Thunder got away with a lot too much stuff, maybe they did. In game one, the reason Jalen Williams is not in this series is because off the ball, away from the play, Stephen Castle pushes Jalen Williams with two hands and he strains his hamstring and he's not been back. He probably won't be back.
Mm.
So to say that like the Thunder are getting away with stuff and the Spurs are not, and that's why this series, that's why they've won the games that they've won. It's just not an honest look at reality. That said, I think the Spurs win Game 6. I don't think
I was about to say that.
Wemby's going to have two
about
bad games in a row.
I was about to say, I feel like now the Spurs get the better of the whistle on their home floor, and up on FanDuel right now, San Antonio a 3.5-point favorite
Oh, three
in
and a half. Wow.
tomorrow's 3.5-point favorite in tomorrow's game number 6. I think the Spurs win tomorrow night, and with them being a favorite, it unlocks the system that we played last night, which is the Spurs to win the first quarter. Updating the numbers now with the Thunder covering last night, which again, the system is team that loses the game in the series and then is the favorite the next game. You play them on the money line in the first quarter. With the Thunder winning the first quarter last night, this playoffs 27-1 straight up in the first quarter. 20 wins,
That's
7
ridiculous.
losses, 1 push in the first quarter. But Mackenzie, this isn't new. As we said yesterday, going back to the start of the 2021 season, in the first quarter, on the first quarter money line, these teams in this situation, 97, 51, and 5 on the first quarter money line. Spurs, first quarter money line, best bet.
Yeah, and Spurs have been the best first quarter team in the league. In the series, they've been good, even losing the first quarter in Game 6 by a couple points. They did something different, the Thunder did, in that they played SGA the full 12 minutes of the first quarter. So that was kind of a curveball that maybe the Spurs didn't expect. And especially the last few minutes, the Thunder were down 8 in the first, ended up winning by 2. So that's something they can adjust for. Maybe they play Wemby the first 12 minutes to counteract that. But I do think it's going to be raucous. I think they win the game, but I think the first quarter might be the best bet. Money line, you're probably laying what, like 125?
144.
All right, a little pricier, but but that's because pushes are so common, so that's not bad.
And that's all. And it's also because it's baked in. This is the situation.
I mean, it went from 1.5 Spurs favorite in Game 3 to now 3.5, and I don't disagree. I think the Spurs are the equal, and that's the home court advantage.
All right. Well, here's an interesting note. Also up on FanDuel, we have hypothetical NBA Finals Game 1 lines. Now,
I'm glad you're bringing this up because Reggie Miller
seen this?
Erroneously, I have not seen this, but
Okay,
Reggie Miller said confidently in the second quarter, either of these teams will be underdogs to the Knicks in the finals, which made me, which turned if I had the hair that I have left on my head, spontaneously combust in fire as an odds guy. I'm like, you can think the Knicks are going to win. You got to know more about the market and expectations and power ratings and seeds to know that they would not be favored. They just wouldn't be against either.
Do you think he's just a mastermind and he's just trolling the Knicks and Knicks fans?
I would not be shocked No, I would be shocked because it would be very much scandalous. But if he was
Yeah.
working for DraftKings and he wanted people to be like, wow, the Knicks should be favored and now they're dogs, I'm going to bet them. That's exactly
Wow.
what you would say on national TV to get people to think there's value and throw extra money in the pot.
Okay, so here are the hypothetical lines on Game 1 of the NBA Finals on June 3rd, courtesy of the
Which will not
FanDuel
be in Madison
Sportsbook.
Square Garden, by the way, no matter what happens.
It will not. It will not. It will either be in Oklahoma City or San Antonio. So, Game 1, Thunder hosting the Knicks. Mackenzie, what is your guess of the line?
Jalen Williams probably back, not for sure. They're worse than the Spurs. I'm going to say it's Thunder 6.5.
It is on FanDuel, Thunder -6.5.
Nice. Got it right. I provided no
incredible.
value, but I showed my acumen.
You did show your acumen. Okay, so now what would the line be? Spurs hosting the Knicks Game 1.
So the Game 5 line moved all the way to 3.5 in some spots. Big improvement for the Spurs power ratings throughout this series, but they're still worse. I'm going to say it's Spurs 5, 5.5, 4.5 maybe.
Spurs -4.5. You redeemed
4.5.
yourself there at the end. It's a good call out of you. It's a good job out of you. This is
the
why you
market
do
does
what you
not
do.
move on the day-to-day basis the way podcasters do that are not serious sober podcasters like us. But every game it looks like the other team is way better, and all the conversations about how they're better and how they figured everything out, the market's like, calm down, these are the same teams that we've been slowly changing our power ratings over for years and years.
Absolutely. From the NBA playoffs to the Stanley Cup playoffs we go, where last night the Vegas Golden Knights finished a 4-game sweep of the Colorado Avalanche, a 2-1 final at the Fortress here in Vegas. And we played last night, Mackenzie, the alternate spread, Vegas -1.5 at +210 odds because of the possibility of it, with the elimination possibility. I always love playing, that team to win by multiple goals because you have the empty net possibility, right? Well, Vegas is up 2-0 after they score. Mark Stone, who, welcome back, Captain Stone, again, scores in the first period. There's no goals in the second period. And Colorado, they made the right choice. Jared Bednar went to Mackenzie Blackwood in net in place of Scott Wedgwood, and he had a great game. 24 saves on 26 shots against. Carter Hart was just better. The Knights had a 2-0 lead late in the third period. The net was empty. And Gabriel Landeskog scored a goal for the Colorado Avalanche. And then Vegas was just content to just chip the puck down the ice, not go for the empty net, and milk the clock and come away with the 2-1 victory. So Vegas wins. They complete the sweep. And we come 2 minutes and 3 seconds short of cashing a +210 good read on the alternate spread of -1.5. But we'll save our alternates for the Knicks. But hey, Vegas is in the Stanley Cup final again for the third time in 9 years. Like, this is unbelievable.
Knock on wood, but it is a fact, so I'll mention it. I have not been to a professional Las Vegas sporting event and not seen that team win the championship later that year. So 2 different years, I went to an Aces game. One was in the finals, and they ended up winning the championship. This year, thank you to my good friend Matthew Holt for giving me an invite and a ticket, was the first time I went to a Vegas Golden Knights game.
Wow.
They won, and now we're off to the championship. So, the streak continues potentially.
I love that. That's amazing. The parade, I got to tell you, a couple of years ago was so much fun. So I very much would like another parade. And so let's see who Vegas is going to face in the Stanley Cup final. Right now, Carolina. Oh, here's a great stat too. And I do want to give credit where credit's due. Evan Abrams of the Action Network tweeted this out last night, and I retweeted it with a couple of, dog emojis and a woof woof sound. The Golden Knights are the biggest series underdog to sweep a conference final or final since the Devils in 1995. The Knights were +200 to win this series. Since VGK became a franchise, Mackenzie, when they are listed as a series underdog in the playoffs, they are 4-1 in those series.
That's
and
amazing.
in the games in those series, 19-9.
Wow,
Come
winning
on.
70% of games as a dog. You can't disrespect Vegas like that. I know there's a little bit of a tourism dip, but since the 50s, people have been trying to say we're done. We're a flash in the pan, and we always overcome.
Well, I
Go
will
Las
say
Vegas,
this.
go. Vegas strong, baby.
If Carolina defeats Montreal and wins the Eastern Conference, Carolina will be favored to win the Stanley Cup over the Vegas Golden Knights. And so the Knights will, in fact, right now, with
Yeah.
Carolina having a 2-1 series lead, they're minus 110, VGK plus 120, Montreal's plus 900. So if Carolina wins the series, they're going to be favored over
Yeah.
the Knights. And then we just take the Knights to win the series, of course. Tonight's game,
Absolutely.
game number 4 tonight in Montreal. It is Carolina with that 2-1 lead as a favorite on the road, minus 146 up on FanDuel, total of 5.5, slightly juiced to the over. I think Montreal can even, I think this is the do or die game for Montreal. Like, this is the kitchen sink game. You lose this game, you're down 3-1, you're going to Carolina, series is over. Carolina's going to win 4 straight games, and it's over, right? You got them in game number 1 because they had the 11-day layoff, something that's never happened before, right? So you caught them. You caught them in game number 1. Now they've won 2 straight, granted, both in overtime. But now if you lose this game tonight, the series is over. So I think this is the kitchen sink game for the Canadiens. Give me Montreal, plus 122 on the money line.
I like it. As a Knights fan, I'm heavily rooting for the Canadians, or just for a longer series. Much like the Knicks want to see 7 games in the NBA, we'd love to see a long series and some injuries along the way, to be honest.
Yeah. Plus, selfishly, like, my sister-in-law's from Montreal, and ever since, like, she was a diehard Canadiens fan until Vegas got a hockey team, and once Vegas got a hockey team, she became like the biggest Golden Knights fan like ever. And I've always asked, what happens if VGK and Montreal play in a Stanley Cup final? And it's always been like, well, we'll pray for that day and then figure it out. And I'm like,
right. Good
we'll see if it ever happens, right? If it happens here, I am so curious to see what happens, because what do you do?
It's a great problem to have. Like, when people would pretend that the Harbaugh parents were like in some sort of bad spot because both of their sons were in the Super Bowl, I'm like, give me a fucking break.
Yeah.
Give me a fucking
Like, what do you
break.
do? Is it like, do you do like the team that you grew up with, or your adopted team, where it's not like you move to a city and then like you embrace that city's team? Like, if you, like, for Vegas, it's different, because like, imagine like you moved here 20 somewhat years ago, whatever, and you've been a diehard hockey fan just waiting, and then all of a sudden, 10 years ago, 9 years ago, right? Like, Vegas gets a team. And now you have a hometown team that you can root for from day one, and you become, a season ticket holder and a diehard fan. Like, you don't, I mean, obviously you don't forget about your childhood team, but this is like your homegrown team. This is your city. This is your team.
I'm from Chicago, spent 18 years there. Love the city, love the food, love the people, most of them. I consider Vegas my hometown. I don't know why. I don't think there was a single day, but I just felt most at home in that city. So that would transfer to my sports fandom, but everybody's different.
All right, let's shift gears, go to Major League Baseball, where it is a Wednesday, which means we have sweep avoidance systems to keep an eye on for today, and there are a lot of them. For those who aren't aware, what we do is we play the unders in these games, but be selective. You're not going to play all of the unders, but there are plenty to play here if you're looking for the sweep avoidance. Checking out your day schedule, because I love doing the unders in the day games, sunshine, weather, all that stuff. Nationals at the Guardians, that is one sweep avoidance system as the Guardians look to avoid the sweep. Cardinals, Brewers, Cardinals looking to avoid the sweep against the Brewers. Mariners and A's from Sacramento. You got the A's looking to avoid the sweep there. Giants hosting the Diamondbacks looking to avoid the sweep. Padres hosting the Phillies look to avoid the sweep. And then later on tonight, Rays looking to avoid the sweep at the hands of the Orioles. You got the Royals hosting the Yankees, Mets hosting the Reds. The Cubs, Mackenzie, have lost 10 straight games, but that's a 4-game series against the Pirates. But the free fall for the Cubbies, holy smokes. What is going on with this team? I mean, the White Sox are now Chicago's team.
Yeah, I don't know. You got to feel better as a Southsider right now, even though you have a better record being a Cubs fan.
Rockies also with the Dodgers. Rockies looking to avoid the sweep. So be selective, pick out some unders, look at the pitching matchups. Maybe it's, Royals, Yankees, maybe under with Garrett Cole on the mound, who hasn't given up a run yet.
By the way, what was your bet on the White Sox over? It was like 60.5, 70.5. It's looking like an easy one.
Let me check the portfolio here.
The Pope trend of the Pope being, good luck charm is undefeated.
Yeah, hold on. Let me see. Where's the? I'm looking at my portfolio right now. Let me pull up my Major League Baseball portfolio. Okay, hold on. I'll scroll down. I'll get this for you right now. Where am I? We have. Not only did we bet the White Sox season win total over, but in my futures portfolio, I have White Sox 70 plus regular season wins at plus 200.
Nice.
So I bet.
The alts are good.
Yeah. So I bet the White Sox over 66.5 at Circa. Okay. And I also bet the 70 plus at plus 200. So I have over 66.5 and I have basically over 69.5 because I have 70 plus wins.
On pace to win 81. Looking good.
Yeah. Those are the two White Sox specs that I have in my futures portfolio. All right, speaking of Major League Baseball, Colby Marchio and Jake Hassan will be streaming their episode of Off the Board, their podcast coming up a little bit later on this afternoon. You can watch the stream live on the Better Day YouTube or Better Day Twitter page. Just search Better Day on YouTube. On Twitter, we are at better_day, and you can catch that podcast right here on this Better Day podcast feed. It'll be posted after the live stream as well. Be sure to follow us across all of your social media platforms and keep it locked into betterday.com, not just for free picks that we post up on the website for you non-members or if you just want to subscribe to the free daily newsletter. But we have big announcements coming in the coming months as we gear up for football season, so you want to stay locked into everything that we have coming your way. For Mackenzie Rivers, I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's hoping you make today and every day a better day.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.